Hello, good evening, and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role-playing games. It is Monday night, and thus we are playing the Masks of Nyarlathotep campaign. We're having a lovely time doing it. But before we do that, let me tell you about some other things. So below the stream are links to our social media, our other streaming platforms, and our Discord, which you should join and come in and chat with us about Kickstarter recommendations and role-playing games and books and other such things. And also our Patreon. So if you enjoy what we do on the channel, you can support us there. Other things that we do on the channel, Wednesday nights, we do Simba Room at some point, restarting soon. If you join the Discord, you'll get dates on when that's coming back. And similarly, every other Thursday, restarting soon, will be the Yellow King. All episodes of those shows and the other things that we have ever done on the channel are all on YouTube. So if you're not on the YouTube yet, then give us a follow on there. That includes the previous Call of Cthulhu games that we've done, Vesson, Vampire the Masquerade, all sorts of things. It is unlikely but not impossible that there is nothing on there that you will enjoy if you are tuned in here now. Is that a selling point? Maybe. Right, cool. Let's do some recaps. A general recap. The group have all made their way to Peru to take part in an expedition that they have seen advertised in the newspaper. I will let the players discuss their characters, but because they all have different reasons for going there. But since going there, they have met a man called Jackson Elias as well, who's going along on the expedition and who has concerns about the expedition leader Augustus Larkin and his assistant Luis de Mendoza. The group basically went to visit Jackson Elias's friend, Professor Sanchez, who works at the local university. And while there, some strange things happened, like them finding a kind of desiccated corpse, and the professor being infested with some kind of giant larvae thing. And they also found a large gold bar in the basement storeroom there, which may or may not be relevant. And then, having rescued the professor from probably a quite nasty fate, the group, upon speaking to him, he believes that it is Luis de Mendoza, the expedition leader's assistant, who was responsible for bestowing such an affliction upon him. So the group have kind of been looking for him, kind of exploring the town and seeing if there's anything else they can find out there about the Karasiri, who are these sort of vampiric human creatures that are believed by some to exist. They have now decided, it is Sunday night, the expedition is set to leave on Monday morning, so they have decided that they are going to talk to Augustus Larkin this evening, inviting him to dinner. Also Augustus Larkin may have an opiate addiction and also a tattoo that he doesn't remember getting. Let's bring on Steve, who plays Edwin Price. Hey, Steve.
Hi there.
Tell us a little about Edwin and how he is feeling at the moment.
Sure. Yes, Edwin Price is a lawyer, a bit out of his element. He's come on this whole venture to see more of the world, because what can go wrong by broadening your horizons? So Edwin has witnessed already a weird desiccated body, a stabbing, Professor Sanchez writhing on the ground in agony with weird tapewormy things wriggling around inside him. Then he witnessed another party member try to extract those with a penknife and no medical knowledge. But minor things. And yes, was last time round. Edwin had been trying to read up on some books to find out if these Karasiri have any particular weaknesses. No great success there. Have a few theories, but no clear cut. Yes, hit them with silver bullets. That's not what we have yet. But did get permission from Professor Sanchez to get the gold bar from the basement in the museum because it might have some protective properties. Only it wasn't there. So yeah, happily found out where it was a little later on in the episode.
I suppose when Edwin said what could go wrong, he wasn't expecting to be writing a list in his notepad.
There is an itemized
as the trip went on. Yeah, bullet points.
I'll be giving them grades later on. Witnessing a stabbing is fairly minor.
Yes, upsettingly, that is very low down on the list.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, let's bring on John, who plays Merritt Barton. Hey, John.
Hi, Johnny.
Yes, a little about Merritt, please.
Merritt is a linguist, part-time scholar, researcher, part-time tutor. He's in Peru because he took a bit of a fancy to one of the local pre-Columbian languages and thought this would be a great learning opportunity and nothing would go wrong. But it's fine. It's fine. He came here to be a translator for the group, and he is fulfilling that purpose because even if people are being stabbed, at least they're being stabbed in a language they can understand.
Cool. Thanks, John. Right, great. Let's bring on Sam, who plays Mrs. Winifred Farwell.
Hello. Yeah, so Mrs. Farwell, wife to Mr. Farwell, who is here but not here today,
Yes.
is a fairly handsome woman in her mid-30s. She's quite well off. She makes a business as an antiquarian, specifically as a mystic in London, kind of pandering to wealthier folks, giving them perhaps genuine, perhaps somewhat not genuine palm readings and tarot readings and all that sort of thing. She's along on the journey, partly kind of along with her husband, but also because this seems like a kind of auspicious and significant place for her to be. And so she's kind of just interested in what's going on. And certainly, while all of the, I suppose you'd say, omens of what's been going on so far have been frightening, they don't suggest she doesn't want to be here. In fact, they kind of tell her that whatever's here is very interesting indeed, and she wants to be witnessing it firsthand. So, yeah.
Stick a pin in that one for later.
It's fine. What possible harm could there come from wanting to witness everything in this story?
Yes, thank you, Sam. So yeah, as you alluded to, Justin is not with us this evening to play Mr. Farwell. But back with us tonight is Jack, who plays Ted.
Hello.
Hey, Jack. Tell us about Ted, please.
So, Ted, what can I say about Ted? He's a photojournalist from Nottingham who has come on the expedition in order to sort of get a story, maybe write a series of articles and sort of make a name for himself. He doesn't really believe anything supernatural is going on. And there's sort of two elements to that. One is, as a journalist, he wants it to be credible. If he starts writing about fat-sucking vampires and sends that back to his editor, he won't have a job to come back to. And there's probably also an element of, well, he's never left Europe, so this is what it's like in South America. They're stabbing each other, there's worms eating people's brains, casual racism of the 1920s sort of element involved as well. So yeah, he's excited to go look for this lost pyramid and get a good story out of it.
Cool. And finally, back with us after a couple of weeks is Inga, who plays Corporal Martin Shane. Hey, Inga. Tell us a little about Corporal Shane.
Yeah, so formerly a sort of wartime field medic. So he's kind of here, through connections, ultimately kind of got hired to be the sort of medic on the expedition while we're heading out into the jungle or the wilds or wherever we may end up. So I think it's like weirdly like, field medic, you deal with whatever shit comes at you at the time. There's a bit of that kind of to all of this. Like, kind of interested in some of the like mythology from a not necessarily full belief, but a kind of like there's something interesting here. Let's see what happens kind of approach. So probably a bit weirdly calmer about everything than I think some of the other characters may be, but like less kind of emotionally invested in the reasons for what might be causing it, but interested to kind of see what happens. And in particular, like, what's really going on with Larkin and how we might be able to sort of, there's a medical need there that needs to be addressed that he hasn't really been able to properly get stuck into because of Mendoza and stuff. But again, we'll have to see how the patient responds, I suppose.
Cool. Thank you. So another thing which nobody's mentioned, and also I didn't mention, is that you did take the notebook from the professor's assistant, which has now, well, there is a mention of a Luis de Mendoza in there as having been a conquistador and maybe some form of eternal life granting, which may or may not be relevant, but I thought it was worth mentioning.
Yeah, Edwin had in the, I think possibly in the past episode, suggested that if people get eyes on Mendoza, look for scars, maybe like a bullet wound in the skull, maybe a patch of burnt skin.
Cool. So it was Sunday afternoon, and the group had decided that they were going to invite Augustus Larkin for dinner this evening, ahead of the expedition setting off tomorrow. Whether or not you are going is still entirely up to you, but the expedition is leaving in the morning with some trucks. So yeah, you had decided to ask any questions that you had of Larkin this evening.
Had we decided whether we were inviting Mendoza to this meal or just seeing if he turned up or not?
I don't think you had said anything specifically about him and the meal, from what I remember.
Vaguely remember the idea was, were we going to pitch everyone on the expedition?
Okay, so he might be there, basically. Yeah. I guess in character, Miss Farwell would probably just be like, so if Mendoza doesn't come, am I to assume we will be relatively forthright with Mr. Larkin? Probably not completely, but we have no reason to hide what happened at the museum and such from him, I assume.
We may have to just play these sorts of things by ear and see how whoever is there responds in the moment. I think you can't overly plan a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps you're right, but I think we should plan for the eventuality that Mr. Mendoza is there, because what we say then may be much. Well, we should perhaps be more careful about it.
Yes, but it seems that this feels like it's been a couple of days since we've seen him. Even his being there may be interesting.
Am I safe to assume if he is there, we're not going to mention any of what we found out? Perhaps nothing even at the museum? Because if he was there and knows we're there, that doesn't... Well...
I think we should take the opportunity to study both of their reactions and see how they behave and play our cards close to our chest. Yes, if he is there, we should watch Mendoza like a hawk.
I mean, if we are being watched, I'll presumably be on some sort of records as having performed some surgery. they may already know that we had some involvement at the university, even if it's just that. If we speak to Larkin alone, that if they really are the two of them really are as close, he may then go and speak to Mendoza and tell him anything that we've spoken about anyway, and we lose the benefit of having seen how he responds. Again, I'm not sure we may just have to see who turns up and see how the conversation flows.
Very well. Are we not going down the mystical route, though, I assume?
That may be a more difficult topic to broach. No, I think trying to tell Larkin that his possibly quite close assistant is in fact a several 100-year-old vampire of Peruvian lore might be a bit of a difficult pill to swallow.
We could perhaps just suggest that somebody of Mendoza's description was seen at the university around the time of the attack on the stabbing victim.
Yeah, I think we're already drawing lots of interesting conclusions here. I'm talking about Mendoza as factually being some 100 years old vampire that's not established fact. There's potentially some mystical presumptions there, but I mean, the facts are there's a description of a man, there's a name that matches. I mean, these things are circumstantial at best,
Professor Sanchez was absolutely clear on who he saw.
Oh yes, of course. That is a fact. What is not a fact is that vampires are real and that Mendoza is a vampire and a conquistador. That those things. To say that that's a bitter pill to swallow is, well, of course that's a fantastical thing to sort of hear. Although perhaps Larkin will enjoy the tale. Who knows?
At the very least, suggesting that Mendoza might not be the most honest of folk. If Larkin doesn't know about Mendoza, then questioning Mendoza's integrity might be at least a first step to see how he responds.
I think it's clear that Larkin has a very close relationship with Mendoza for whatever reason. He's described him as being quite loyal. I didn't want to say anything when I first spotted the signs, but it seems to now be quite common knowledge that Larkin is using or abusing substances in some sort of way, and it seems that Mendoza is potentially supplying him with those. That can be a very difficult relationship to break when there is a reliance or a dependency of that nature.
Yes.
So yes, I think that we could very easily trigger a defensiveness, but again, who's really to say?
One thing we do absolutely need to make to keep in mind is our friend here, Mr. Hughes, Jesse Hughes. We need to refer to him by his proper name.
Yes.
From a purely academic perspective, Larkin may be interested in the account of the conquistadors.
Yeah, I'm sure he will do. The part of the history of the place that is part of the expedition.
I mean, even if Mendoza is there, we can sort of mention we found this account, and someone can keep an eye on his reaction as we're.
And that could be interesting.
We don't have to point his finger and say we believe it's you that's in this diary, because, like we said, that would be a strange thing to accuse someone of. But
I'm sure I would be interested if my namesake came up in a historical document, even if it were not me myself.
Exactly so. I think we may get some interesting reactions just from laying out actual facts. the matter that we've
And,
discovered
yeah.
or come across.
It's not too suspicious that we're doing some research into where we're headed. So even finding the diary and stuff isn't. You wouldn't have thought it'd raise any eyebrows. So that's a good idea.
Okay, should I go around, do you think, and invite him?
You and someone else, I think.
I'll come and join you, and I've visited most days now to check in on the patient, as I say. So I was thinking another visit would be quite usual for me.
Good idea. Cool. So is anybody, are you kind of just hanging around while we go and do that? It's not far or long, but just checking that you didn't want to do anything in the meantime.
What sort of time is it?
Mid-afternoon?
I might just try to nip out to see if I can buy some sort of ornamental letter opener that just happens to be made of gold. Just whiz around a few stores quickly, just on the off chance.
Okay. Give me a luck roll, Steve. Is your credit rating okay?
My credit rating is 30.
Oh, okay.
It gives you cash and assets, doesn't it? So
yeah, you've got the cash for it.
Yeah,
but it would be a notable purchase for you, I think, in terms of outlay.
It would be a souvenir.
Yes.
Great. Well, my luck isn't tremendous. It's 40. So, no, I rolled a 60.
Okay. Do you know what, though? You do find an antique, pin badge, and you're pretty certain that the pin itself is gold.
Okay.
And it's slightly cheaper than you imagine you would pay for a gold letter opener as well.
Okay, that's a start.
So yeah,
lovely. Might take a while, but
okay, cool. Yeah, so Corporal Shane and Jackson show up at the Hotel España, and you kind of both nod to the owner, who is sitting on a chair in the hallway and recognizes Corporal Shane now from the numerous visits over the past couple of days. And you head up. De Mendoza's door is closed still, as it has been throughout, as is Larkin's. But Jackson just goes and knocks. And you hear a kind of shuffling. And in fact, do you want to make a listen roll, Inga? I failed mine for Jackson.
That's a 37 over 20. That's a fail as well.
Okay, you hear some shuffling behind the door. Well, not directly behind the door, but in the room. And then the door opens, and Larkin says, "Ah, hello, good afternoon again. Do you need something? I'm just busy packing for the expedition." You note that the room is basically still in the exact same disarray as before, clothes and trunks strewn everywhere.
Yeah, no time to do some extra laundry between now and the expedition, I suppose. No, not at all. And certainly no rush. We just wanted to extend an invitation to dinner. We thought it'd be nice to get the full expedition together before we set off tomorrow morning.
Oh, yes, of course. should I meet you at your hotel in, say, 2 hours, and I can find us somewhere?
Yes, it sounds perfect. Wonderful. We'll knock on Mr. Mendoza's door as well, but just in case we don't catch him, if you do see him, obviously it's the full expedition, so it'd be lovely to see you both there if you're both available.
You may, but I believe he's out. Great, thank you. Yeah, he heads back in. He kind of leaves the door a little bit ajar, presumably not wanting to slam the door in your face. And if you keep looking, you kind of see him like shoveling the clothes back into the trunks and kind of trying to close them up.
Cool. Yeah, we'll go try knocking on Mendoza's door, but
yeah, there's no answer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, might test the door to see if it just happens to be open or anything, but I'm assuming it's probably all locked up as it always has been. Yeah. Well, hopefully, Mr. Larkin will come across Mr. Mendoza, and
Yes,
well, we'll see, won't we?
This evening, then, Mr. Larkin. Jackson kind of shouts through the door, and you see him like wave, and he kind of slowly closes the door now as you've left.
On the way out, if the owner lady is there, we'll maybe just leave a note again for if she sees Mr. Mendoza before the time for dinner to let him know, because we missed him this afternoon.
So, see. Takes it and kind of puts it next to the seat that she's sitting on.
I think if we've got a couple of hours, I know I bought some opiates before last time when I suspected there might be something. I might go top those up, seeing like a bit in more, having seen more recently the level of dependency. Might just make sure I'm well stocked, not a sort of just in case stocked.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy that you have some sort of ID that denotes that you're, you've probably still got some like ex-serviceman like medic thing that you could display, and they'll quite happily hand over to you. Cool. So is anybody doing anything with the next couple of hours other than kind of chatting and waiting?
We, assuming we're all kind of downstairs in a relatively public area when we had our chat, I suppose Mrs. Fowler might, just for paranoia's sake, like pop off to powder her nose, and then rather than just going to the toilet, kind of loop round and just kind of do a wander around the building, staying a little bit in the shadows and stuff, just because she thought she saw Mendoza looking at us the other day. She just wants to stay out of view and see if there is someone watching us this time, or the people who are still in the building this time. Just one circuit, not spending hours doing it. But...
Cool. I'm not going to ask you to roll. You don't spot anybody kind of keeping an eye on you here.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so if nobody's got anything else, then 6 p.m. rolls around, and Larkin appears and says, "Okay, I have I've booked us in for dinner. Lovely local Peruvian food place. I hope that's acceptable. I will pick up the tab, of course. Shall we?"
Very kind of you.
And he just leads you a couple of streets over to a sort of like I don't know how I would like almost like an evening cafe kind of situation. It's not like full, fancy seated restaurant. But still looks nice. It smells amazing when you walk in. And there's only a couple of other people in here. And he kind of pulls a couple of tables together to give you enough seats. And says, orders some drinks for the table. And says, To the expedition.
To the
Raise a
expedition.
glass.
De Mendoza is not here, just to...
Can I have picked a seat where I can kind of look out towards, the street, windows, whatever, just so I
Yep.
can keep an eye on anybody passing by?
Yep, of course.
Is Larkin looking in better health now? Is he looking more like he did when we first met him out here, or is he still looking
Yeah.
sickly? Yeah.
Is he how put together is he? Like, is his shirt fully buttoned up, kind of thing?
Yeah, he's looking, like he's not in need of anything right now, but also has not just had something. He's sort of in that middle region where, he's reasonably well put together.
Yeah. I was wondering if he's like rakishly showing bare chest / ominous tattoo kind of thing.
No, not currently.
Okay.
Just discovered I got this. I may as well show it off.
So, is everybody excited? I certainly am. Many discoveries to be made.
That's what we're all here for, I suppose. Yes, excited to get started proper.
Yeah, it feels like we've been in this town for a while now. A couple of weeks, it seems like.
Yes, well, the journey to somewhere always seems longer than the journey back, doesn't it? But I hope your stay has been pleasant. The hotel, I think, is meant to be fine, and well, the food has been excellent from my experience. And in fact, he's basically ordered like a big kind of sharer platter thing, so the table suddenly becomes full of food. Lots of, I'd say, small plates, but they're all actually quite large plates. But kind of picky,
Like
tapasy
tapas.
style. Yeah. And he just immediately kind of picks up and starts.
It's a shame Mr. Mendoza wasn't able to join us. I don't know if he got the message or if you did see him at all later on this afternoon, or perhaps we've just missed him entirely for today.
No, I have not seen him this afternoon. I'm not sure about a note for him, but yes, I've certainly, not seen him today at all, in fact.
It's a shame. Do you know what it is that he has been up to around town at all? Or?
I gave him a list of tasks to carry out while we were here, and well, I trust him to just complete those as and when, project as a whole rather than small deliverables. So yes, I don't like to micromanage my people. Don't imagine micromanage was a term in the 1920s.
Apply the veneer of
Yeah.
Hollywood anachronism meets back on the menu-esque style.
Oh, micromanage. Yes, I shall have to use that one again.
You could write a book about that.
Oh, I hope we've
Perhaps,
not been remiss. There weren't any tasks we ought to have been completing while we were here, other than the exploring some of us I know have done.
No, not at all. No.
Anything we could have helped Mr. Mendoza with at all? Seems a shame for him to be working while we were all relaxing.
Oh, it's fine. He is being paid. Yes, just logistics.
How long have you and Mr. de Mendoza been working together?
Hmm. Would it be?
Watching carefully.
Would it be weeks? Hmm.
Is this your first expedition together then? I was just
Well,
wondering,
it's
with his name, whether he was a local, but
yes, he's certainly he's certainly from around here, but yes, I've not known him a hugely long time, but he's proven himself to be quite helpful.
Sorry, was that just under a year that you said, Jonny?
Just a few weeks.
Oh, just a few weeks. Sorry. Yeah. I like reading into his response there. Like, did that seem like he's just a bit scatty and can't remember, or did it seem like it's weird that he? Does it seem weird that he can't remember how long? Like, that seems like quite a straightforward question to ask, I guess. Right? How long have you known this person?
Yeah. You kind of know, obviously, like that he's using at the moment, and you don't necessarily think that it would be that weird for him to be a bit like, take a little bit longer to kind of come up with like a short-term memory kind of thing. So, yeah, difficult for you to say for definite either way.
And how long have you been planning this expedition?
Planning in the weakest sense of the word, I suppose. 6 months. It has become a bit more of a concerted effort more recently, but yes, the original idea was from around 6 months ago, I think.
What got you interested in this place around 6 months ago, may I ask?
Oh, I had heard stories, Mrs. Farwell. Very interesting stories.
the alpaca farmer you mentioned on our first night.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I suppose that was a little over 6 months ago. But yes. Yes, a little while. But yes.
So we came across an interesting story ourselves, I think. Someone was researching some old stories and came across someone of the same name as Mr. Luis de Mendoza. I thought it was a funny happenstance. Shame he's not here to enjoy the coincidence.
Yes. What was the no, it doesn't matter. Isn't the food great?
Can I do a psychology roll?
Yeah.
I also do a psychology roll.
Yes, that is a hard success.
Ooh,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
hard success for me.
Okay. Yeah, if you got a hard success, you not only think that was a bit weird, but like he's definitely changing the subject on like this isn't. It's not like what I mean is it's not like a scatterbrainy thing. You're pretty certain that he's gone boop with the conversation there.
Okay, I will somehow try and communicate a look that we should. No, I wouldn't communicate a look. I don't think I do anything. Never mind.
I'm going to take it as assumed that you communicate a look to Mr. Farwell.
I was going to say, this is when
That
you
he
need your
stays
husband here for
completely
that.
quiet.
Yeah.
I just generally assume that in every scene, you and him are like eyebrow communicating in the background.
In Morse.
Yeah.
Marital telepathy.
Yes.
Precisely. Yeah. Oh, it must be a
Um,
coincidence then. I will try to shut it down.
But yes, the food is delicious. Another wonderful pick of this establishment. Yes.
Good. Oh, what about yourself, Mr. Larkin? Forgive me. I'm sure I could hear a little bit of the colonial Kenyan in your voice. I'm just wondering why Peru? Why not, well, anywhere else, I suppose.
Ah, you picked up on that, I see. Not many do, Mr. Barton. I have clearly chosen well with you for this expedition. For your talents as such. Well, yes, I did. I did move away from Kenya. Just you know how things can be with a family, and well, a son needs to spread his wings and fly away, I suppose. Do his own thing, or a similar thing, but without the oversight and the safety net of a parent.
I can certainly empathize with that, Mr. Larkin.
Does that mean it's a family business, just not in Peru? This expeditioning.
Well, my family are reasonably well off, but not well, I suppose, through expeditioning in a way, mostly through railway building, in fact. So still striking out into frontiers, but yes, not quite as not quite what we will be doing, but yes.
What got you into this business then, Mr. Larkin? Fascinating.
Oh, as I say, just happened to hear stories, and yes, just thought it could be an enjoyable way to spend some time and money, and hopefully recoup some of that money at the end of the expedition. Sorry, I hope you don't think that's crude of me to discuss, but
Not at all. It's business, I suppose, in a manner as well, isn't it? As well as excitement.
yes.
And how many expeditions have you been on?
Oh no, this will be the first, Mr. Price.
The first.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, it's going well so far. He kind of laughs a little as he's lifting a piece of food to his mouth.
Can I maybe try and do another psychology, Jonny? Because I've already figured out that he's suspicious, obviously. I'm sort of getting the vague impression that he thinks we're onto him a bit at the moment. I'm trying to gauge whether that's true or not. Maybe this will be a whole conversation psychology role rather than now. But my objective is to try and figure out whether he thinks overall that we're like, yeah, this guy's super dodgy, or we just are naive and oblivious.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, give me another roll.
Yeah. That is a regular success.
Okay, I'm gonna say that you're not sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's you know that with your interactions with him, he has always been a very friendly, and reasonably forthcoming. Like, as far as you know, apart from trying to divert the subject there, as far as you know, he's answered all of your questions. He's communicated with you reasonably well, and he's certainly not putting across. He's not sort of looking at you like de Mendoza was. So it's difficult for you to say whether he thinks that you're onto him, whatever that may mean, or suspicious of him.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Good stuff.
He kind of finishes up with what he's eating and leans back on his chair and, delicious. Mr. Hughes, have you found anything for your writing while you've been here? Well, there's these fine people that I'll certainly be able to put something together about, and just enjoying the area. Thank you for your hospitality again. Of course.
Yes, it's a nice area to have spent a few days. I think I know a few of us have been around the markets and stocked up on a few supplies and things like that. Had a nice full medical kit and a few souvenirs and things have been packed as well. But it's been nice to spend a few days before we set out into the wilderness.
Medical kit will be, yes, it's very good to have. Doesn't take much for somebody to stumble and sprain an ankle or yes, excellent. Good. Well, if there's nothing else, friends, I think I will retire to bed now, ready for the morning. But thank you for your company.
Does anybody else want to stay out for another drink before we retire?
I think we could remain for a drink or so.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Not too much.
You don't mind if I retire for the night?
No, of course. I think we probably won't be too far behind. It's an early start tomorrow. As long as you don't mind us staying out a little longer.
No, enjoy, and I'll leave a little extra at the bar for the drinks.
Very kind, thank you.
And you see him go up and chat to somebody and hand over a wad of cash, and then head out.
Rinse him.
Do we think he is going straight back to his room? Or...
Well, he may be going back to Mendoza to tell him that we suspect something, but unfortunately I'm not certain of that.
Well, we didn't really get too far into it. He clearly was not interested in discussing anything.
No, I think that was very certain, wasn't it?
How far is this restaurant from Larkin's Hotel, Johnny?
10-minute walk.
Okay, so, well, does one of us want to quickly tail him and then see if he goes back to his hotel or not? It's only 10 minutes away, so...
Don't know how much it might tell us anyway, though, if Mendoza's at the hotel.
Yeah, true.
It's a risk.
I mean, just at a base level, as he walks out, is he heading in the right direction to be heading back to his hotel?
Yeah, so basically, where you've come is a couple of streets over from your hotel, and his hotel is kind of 5 minutes then past your hotel. So he's walking in the direction that you've come from. So it does make sense for him to be going that way.
Are we all in agreement that Mr. Larkin appears to be trying to hide things from us at the very least?
Changed the subject quickly, didn't he?
Which you wouldn't do if you didn't know anything about it. You'd express some curiosity, I think.
I feel there's no other explanation for that.
I mean, given his interest in history and stories and so on, I would have thought
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, either he knows the story and quite firmly does not want to discuss it, or he's just completely uninterested in speaking about anything to do with his assistant,
I mean,
which is also possible, but seems a little more tenuous.
I mean, knowing the story and family not wanting to discuss it seems strange. If it, it's a historical account about the place we're going,
Yes.
it just seems strange to so suddenly and dramatically sort of avoid the subject.
So, assuming that him and Mendoza are working together, and Mendoza is a very dangerous person, both of these two things I think we all broadly agree on. If we do decide to go on the expedition as planned, this is a very serious decision to take. We have to ask ourselves why he wants us along at all in that case.
Yes, that question has been frustrating me somewhat.
I mean, this is still, I mean, I can't speak to all of your skill sets, but traversing through this kind of uninhabited sort of area without access to medicals, I mean, there's a practical element, I think, for somebody like me to go along. If you want to get somewhere, it's sensible to bring some sort of similar fashion translation services. I mean, I don't know how much Mr. Mendoza could theoretically provide that, but there are some, I think we all have certain skill sets that are useful. Appreciate, writing and capturing the stories maybe less relevant if you don't actually want to publish findings and things. But
yes, but to be frank, a very dangerous man who is clearly interested in murdering people, and a very oddly suspicious and somewhat incompetent man trying to lead an expedition, I have no doubt that this is not for what the purposes they're saying it is. The question is, what is it for?
Well, yes, but as has been pointed out, the people who have been dispatched are on rival or related to rival expeditions, right? Dangerous and indiscriminate are not necessarily quite the same. I'm not saying it's not dangerous and we shouldn't be very, very careful, but I don't think we can necessarily assume that we're being brought along because we are expected to be victim, if that's what you're implying.
Well, I see your point. Assuming is perhaps a bit extreme, but at the moment it seems the most logical answer to me, anyway.
Well, what are the
practical element is there's rival competitions. The competition is being got rid of. I think that seems you take vampires out of the story, and that seems almost mundane.
Is it because were they taken out of the equation because they were competition, or were they taken out of the equation because at the time they held information that perhaps either Larkin or de Mendoza would not want to be wider knowledge?
Precisely. They were not invited on the expedition.
Well, yes, I mean that's also very, very possible, but
as far as we know,
we don't
the professor
know anything either.
As far as we know, the professor was not planning an expedition of his own right. He was just interested. Now, he was looking into that after he found out Larkin was going, but only afterwards. He could well have been invited and been part of it, but he didn't get invited, probably because of what he knew. Probably, to be honest, because of what he knew about Karasiri.
Well, you say that, but again, I mean, maybe rival expedition is the wrong word. I mean, it seems like there was interest in trying to get out there, but there was at least rival intention behind what should happen once they make the discovery, right? If Larkin wants to plunder this pyramid or whatever it is exactly that he wants to be doing, and the professor would have prevented that or reported to authorities, of course he's not going to want him on his expedition. Again, all of those things are very they're very business reasons, for want of a better word. None of which are things that none of these are threats that we bring. Again, I think assuming that we're here to be victim in some way is that, to me, that there is a leap beyond logic to get there. There's nothing to explicitly suggest that. There are, as I say, somewhat business reasons behind everything else that's gone on, fantastical though it may seem. It's interesting, don't get me wrong, but I think we ought to be careful of jumping to too many conclusions.
I think the big question is what Mendoza wants out of this. I'm getting the suspicion that Mendoza might well have driven this whole thing. Perhaps Mendoza arranged for the alpaca farmer to. If this is Larkin's first expedition and he's looking for, I don't know. What does Mendoza want with that? With the pyramid, with the site?
Well, if we do decide to put aside the, in my opinion, quite substantial evidence that he has a lot of experience going back to the pyramid several hundred years, he is at very least someone who has been associated now with a death cult and has been associated with murders. And so I believe he has no interest whatsoever in discovery or investigation, and is most likely part of some horrific gang of people who probably want us there for some terrible act. And he seems like the one in charge to me. I still don't think that means there's no value in following him. But
you've got to ask the question, I guess, why us as victims? Surely it'd have been easier just to get, a handful of locals, hire them on the expedition, and use them as the sacrifice on the altars. Why drag us halfway around the world to get us involved in it?
Perhaps because we didn't know about having Karasiri.
it seems to be a fairly well-known legend, and most of the people here are very suspicious about it. Perhaps as many will go have already gone and have disappeared.
Okay, yeah,
I still think we're a strange choice of people. We have relevant skills for an expedition. I think there's some value or some purpose that we bring on a practical level for whatever reason. That's not to say that Mr. Mendoza doesn't have his own agenda separate to Larkin's view of an expedition, but I don't know. I'm not sure how much Larkin is himself being too nefarious about things. I think he's obviously not happy to speak. I mean, well, that's what part of it, right? We're not going to get very far by talking. I think if we want to understand what Mendoza or truly what Larkin is up after from this expedition, we'll have to observe. We'll have to see.
Yes, I think at this point either I think it's unlikely that we would be able to venture to the pyramid ourselves. So I think at this point it's either we disappear into the night or we go along and with the expedition. The advantage there is that Mendoza won't be able to hide from us forever if we are traveling with him. At least we can keep an eye on him, and we can maybe learn more about him and his behavior.
This is very true, and to be perfectly honest, my greatest fascination now is in discovering more about these Karasiri, so I would very much value the opportunity to follow him. We must prepare, though, for such a trip. I mean, even for those of us here who don't agree with these Karasiri. If he's a very dangerous man, the advice that I received about never being alone around him seems very sensible. Now, that would probably include sleeping, so we'd have to take a lot of precautions and such, I suppose.
I won't argue against caution. But for my part, I've been hired here to do a job, and I have no intention of neglecting that duty. And yes, we learn something more about some of these interesting tales, then all the better. And we can set up whatever kind of protections or precautions that you think might be sensible. There's obviously some practice from my army days, I suppose, in terms of some basic, well, yes, it's not uncommon to me.
I think Corporal Shane has the right of it. And ultimately, we came here to do a job. And that there is still a possibility that we are chasing non-existent ghosts in a foreign land with very little wild goat chase, with very little evidence. So I will be on this expedition because I gave my word that I would be there. But I think that if anyone does not feel safe and does not wish to go, then this evening may be your last chance to back out.
Me and my husband will come.
Yeah, we're I can't afford the trip back anyway. I'm kind of hoping on this expedition to pay for that. So
Mr. Hobbs,
gotta see it through, and can't go back empty-handed without a story. So yeah, obviously going on the expedition.
Well, I've seen what I've seen so far. I don't think I can. Curiosity is a dangerous drive, but yes, I will see this through. See where it takes us. You all seem very, trustworthy companions, so I'm happy placing myself in such a group, and together, hopefully, we will prevail.
I'll look to Hughes as well.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. Elias is his real name, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, Elias. Yeah.
I will. Yes, I will certainly be accompanying you fine people. Well, I've encountered some scary people during my my research, and yeah, I think we'll be okay.
It's another toast then to discovering the truth.
To the truth.
I think
I'll raise my fruit juice.
just after we've taken our drink, I'll just say, since this may be one of the last times we all speak together without Larkin or Mendoza being present, I just want to highlight again the number of significant and inexplicable things we have already seen. And please, all of you, keep your minds open. Otherwise, we may be in greater danger than we otherwise need to be. Even Mr. Larkin's reaction just now to us saying something which otherwise should be perfectly innocuous, in my opinion, has no other explanation than he knows exactly what Mr. Mendoza is. Anyway, I won't speak any more of it now. I know it makes some of you feel a little uncomfortable, Mr. Hobbs.
There's a danger in jumping to conclusions as well. Even if all the fantastical things are true, what if it's something that's not Karasiri? What if it's something else entirely and we're going down the wrong path? I think keeping our eyes open applies to not necessarily being stuck on this one theory.
I am in agreement, but that seems like the less dangerous choice, in my opinion.
Caution is always prudent.
I'll make sure to pack a crucifix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. We have Mr. Farwell joining us. He just
hello. Yeah, I know. I definitely am coming. Glad I was
you're coming with me.
volunteered for that. But wouldn't miss it for the world. Wouldn't miss it for the world.
Cool. So, is everybody going to bed and getting ready for the morning? Are there any final preparations that anybody wants to do with anything that you want to note before?
Who's got the rubbings of the gold rod, the symbols on them? Right.
Look, the gold rod is in my tool bag. I was about to ask if we wanted to do anything with it. I'm fine with it still being painted black, but I could remove the black paint tonight if that is preferable.
I will leave that. No, I'm primarily interested in the runes, and I'll
rubbings.
maybe try to get a copy. Just jot down in my notebook, if I can, a copy of the symbols that Barton took from the rod.
And none of them look suspiciously like a tattoo we've recently seen.
No, I think they didn't look like that at all, did they? If I remember correctly.
No, it's,
no.
If Mr. Farwell asked me directly, I will say leave the black on it, because so far I have the inkling that it's not really the gold that's relevant. It's more the carving from the magical place that it came from.
Can I take a closer look at the rubbing as like a language? Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to translate it, because translating a language you know nothing about off a small excerpt is impossible. But like, do I think what's written on it, what is on it, is language? Like, do I think they have meaning, or do I think it's purely aesthetic? Does it look like any kind of a language or rune system that I've seen before? Will it help if I tell you what other languages I know? Yeah, that's fine.
I know all languages shapes, but like it's literally shapes,
Right.
like geometric, like non-repeating. That there's no obvious pattern to it.
Right.
The symbols, like again, you aren't staring at this for hours, but like there's nothing that you can pick from this to be like, oh, that's this, or anything like that. It looks more to you like a pattern, it like as in a design almost, rather than language.
Okay.
If you had to say, you would say it's more like like a design pattern rather than a language.
Okay.
That night, maybe I'll just kind of casually mention, Mr. Farwell, Wilfred, it's occurred to me there were quite a few conquistadors in that story, weren't there? 4, something like that? 5, maybe? If the man who escaped was the only one who wasn't turned into those things, which kind of is how it sounded, do you think we're going to find more Karasiri in the jungle? Perhaps running these death cults? I suppose just food for thought. You're muted, Justin.
Good night.
What a terrifying thought.
Sleep well, darling. I feel like this is every other night with Winifred Farwell.
Okay, morning. You do have time for some breakfast before the trucks pick you up. So again, you can discuss anything, but I'm kind of assuming that you've done all of that already. And eventually Larkin comes into your... I'm assuming that you're having breakfast in the hotel. Larkin comes in and says, friends, the time is upon us. And now you can actually hear like some noise outside the hotel now that he's kind of come in and said that. Can I help anybody with bags or?
No, it should be fine.
Thank you very much. Actually, you could help me with, and I will gesture to another case, I guess.
Yeah, who has the actual gold bar?
That's still me, unless anyone has asked for it.
Why would you ask that question, Johnny? That's
And if they have asked for it, they might still not have got it.
And it's still painted.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep that bag with me at all times. That's my regular bag that I have with me.
Cool.
Is he showing a particular interest in our luggage, like looking around?
No,
examining it?
not at all.
Okay.
No, really not at all. I just wanted to know where that item was.
It's Johnny who's doing that.
Right, yes. Suspicious.
Yeah, just immediate player suspicion. You ask an innocuous question like, "Where's
Where
where's
is
this
your bag now,
luggage?" And
husband?
can I?
So what order are you standing in?
Did you lock the door at night? Yeah.
What are you having
Are
for
you-
breakfast?
Are you
Ju-
looking behind you as you walk down this hallway? Yeah, sorry, go on, Justin.
Can I drive a truck, Johnny?
Well, I mean, you probably can.
I can.
But there are 3 drivers for the 3 trucks.
Fair enough.
If you take one of them out, though, then
With the gold bar.
Yeah, big.
Then there's only 4 conquistadors left.
With this solid gold bar. You go, he must have been a Karasui.
I'm just whacking everyone with it. This really
No.
chunky piece of metal is really knocking people out. They must all be evil.
These 3 drivers are not dressed anything like conquistadors.
Cool. got it.
So it's fine. Yeah, so there are there's a seat up front in each truck, or you can sit in like the open backed bit.
Well, as a lady, I would obviously be undercover.
Of course.
Is there just
I'll
one-
sit in the back with somewhere.
Before we settle, because I'm not sure the driver is going to speak English, I might catch Mr. Barton and ask if he has a chance to sit with the driver and just make conversation about anything they might know about the area or something.
I will certainly do that.
I would like to sit up front too. This is a great adventure, and I plan to see some of it.
Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Farwell up front in separate trucks, and Merrick Barton up front in the other. Cool. Yeah, you set off. I'm actually going to. So the other 3 of you, you could all go in the same truck if you want to.
I think, yeah,
Or-
like if we're in the back, then yes.
And in fact, Jackson could go with you as well, and you could basically have.
All the eggs in one truck.
Yeah, which truck is the vampire in?
you could have. Oh yeah, worth noting, Luis de Mendoza still not here.
Slacker.
I would
Larkin
be
is saying
inclined
nothing unless
to
you
put-
ask him.
I would be inclined to put myself on the truck that Mrs. Farwell, on the back of the truck that Mrs. Farwell is on, and while my gun is normally packed away very tidily with the ammo separate and all that kind of stuff, like I've got it more in kind of potentially ready to use kind of position, more easily accessible. And, yeah.
What you could do is basically have one truck as a passenger truck, and you could have all of the people that aren't sitting up front, including Larkin, on there, and then have all the luggage on the other 2.
That
Or you
seems
can
like it
split
would
it
make
out.
the most sense for.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never planned an expedition to a lost pyramid, but if I were to do that, that's how I'd do it.
I mean, neither
Larkin's
is
only
Larkin.
planned one. So, yeah.
That's true.
I would definitely ask Larkin where Mendoza is as soon as it was odd that Mendoza wasn't there.
Okay. He says okay. So are you asking this as you come outside and like the luggage is being loaded in?
Yeah, I probably would like have chosen my truck and like be thinking, I guess if we're going like not too far away from now, and then not seeing Mendoza, I'll ask, I'll ask Larkin. Has Mendoza already chosen a truck? Is he on board somewhere?
I have some bad news about my previous assistant, Mr. Farwell. I'm afraid I won't go into too much detail, but it seems that I may have been a bad judge of character in that situation.
How so? He seemed like such.
As I said, I
friendly
don't wish
chap.
to go into detail. It seems crude, but yes. Suffice it to say, he shall not be joining us, and I shan't be employing his services again. You can make a psychology roll if you're trying to.
Oh yeah.
How gamey is it to be close enough to hear this? I think I probably haven't. I think I was looking.
Yeah, where was this in relation to everyone else?
I know.
So let's say. So you come out of the hotel, right? And there's a truck right at the front, and then another one kind of to your left, and another one taking up the other part of the road past the one that you're directly in front of. So the bags are being loaded into the left-hand one and the back one, with the nearest one being left for passengers to get into. And Larkin is basically lifting his sort of personal bag into that first one over the side at the point that Mr. Farwell comes up. So it's basically directly outside the hotel, but there is hustle and bustle. So if you're not like quite nearby, then you wouldn't necessarily pick up exactly what's being said.
I'm gonna give myself like a 30% chance.
However, I was going to say, Sam, because if you've already got in the truck, you're in that truck.
Yeah.
So you are right there.
Oh, okay, so I can make the roll.
Because that's the passenger truck, which Inga said that she would make sure that she was in the same truck as you.
I'm still going to make the roll because I was also chatting with Merritt Barton around now.
Okay.
So I think it's fair. I'll give myself a 50-50 instead, though, since I'm nearby.
In that case, I'm going to also give myself a 50-50 because I'm also there.
I succeeded.
I gave myself a 50-50, but rolled 98, so...
Oh, I gave myself 50-50, they rolled 91.
I also failed my psychology check.
Okay.
Seems fine.
Yes. So, as far as you're concerned, maybe he's found out some stuff that has happened and has decided that, you know, or it could be completely unrelated and he may have just had a falling out. You're not sure.
When we say this is the passenger truck, is Larkin also joining us there, or is he? Yeah,
he was intending to. Yeah. That's what I was saying. He's lifting his like sort of small bag into there.
I have some other really unfortunate news. I'm also not going to this expedition. Bye.
Mr. Larkin, did he seem angry? He seemed like the type that, although affable, might fly off the handle at any moment.
Why don't you give me a charm roll?
Thank you. I love charm. Charm is I've got 35 in charm, so that is basically a charming expert. And I pass. I roll under half.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, tick. He kind of looks at you for a moment and kind of is almost makes you feel a little uncomfortable. He's kind of staring right into your soul for a moment. And he says, we may have had a falling out, Mr. Farwell. He was, yes, he did sometimes have a bit of a habit of being overzealous, shall we say. And as you said, as you posited, he could become, well,
yeah, certainly.
And that's I prefer.
Say no more.
I prefer people who are more level-headed, such as yourselves, especially on a venture into the unknown.
Of course. Do you think he might be? Do you think he'd be the type that might follow us?
I don't think so, and I don't believe that he has the means to get there as anywhere near as quickly as we will be.
Of course, of course.
So
That
in
makes
some
sense.
ways, it's irrelevant.
I really wish I'd overheard that. Oh well.
Is there anything that you need to get before you go, Mr. Larkin? Any bags? Talk to any of the
No, I've
drivers?
just placed my bag in there.
It's going to be a
Back to
long drive. Maybe you need to pop off to relieve yourself, or it's going to be
No.
excellent. Well, I'm
He
up
hops
there.
up into the back of the truck.
Yeah. I just
Can't wait
give.
for him to pee.
I'm going to try and convey as much information of this conversation to Mrs. Farwell through a series of 2 or 3 looks.
You could probably lean in the door and then whisper it to me if you wanted to, because
Oh,
I'm in the front
yeah.
and he's in the back of the truck.
While whispering my soft goodbyes, I could whisper to you.
I'm fine that you can give this information. Yeah.
Yeah, just basically saying they seem to have had a falling out.
I
Larkin thinks he won't be a problem anymore,
Well,
but he seemed overzealous.
one of 2 explanations, I think. Either he was never planning on coming as part of the plan, although a bit weird he was introduced to us, or Larkin's changed his mind, or some other plan has changed.
I just have a very bad feeling about all of this.
Yeah, well, that's a given.
Well, see you in 5 hours.
Have a nice journey. Oh, Mr. Farwell. No, Wilfred. That's what I call you, sorry. Wilfred.
In public?
Don't drive the truck, okay?
It's a simple. I've
No,
driven trucks before.
Country roads in the jungle. Let the driver do his job, okay? Wilfred, promise me you won't drive the truck.
I won't drive the truck as long as the driver is capable of driving the truck.
The driver is capable. Trust the driver. Don't you turn around.
As long as the driver is capable, says the man wielding the gold bar ominously.
2 minutes into the drive, you can imagine.
Whack.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. You set off. So you are made aware. I think you were made aware previously, anyway. But that the section in the trucks to Puno will take about 3 days. You're going about 800 miles. So you travel for the majority of the first day along the coast. And it's a very nice day, and you've just got the Pacific Ocean to your right the whole way on this journey. And in fact, I could put that map up again, couldn't I? Oh, but there's some more information on the map. We'll hide it. Yeah, you spend a lot of the first day traveling down the coast. And because you pass through another town sort of towards the end of the day, this first day, you don't necessarily know where you're going to be staying, because it kind of depends on weather and light and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you stop in a city not long before dark, town, sorry, not city. And yeah, you get put up in a hotel that first night. And again, Larkin covers the bill for everything, obviously. The second day, you come a little more inland and then back along the coast again. And in fact, let's make somebody make me a luck roll. And we'll just do 50-50. So tell me if you get under or over 50.
45 under.
Okay. The timing is right. The weather is fine, and you manage to stop in a town again and get a nice place to stay. Well, nice maybe stretching it, but it's a bed under a roof, rather than having to stop in a tent or anything. And
I'm guessing
then
we're talking much more rural now. Like a lot of the comforts you might be used to. 20 cities is well out of the way.
yeah, so you were obviously in Lima, which is a big city to begin with, and you're going to Puno, which is a reasonable size. These places that you're passing are small towns. Some of them, maybe villages rather than towns that have like a single place to stay kind of thing. So yeah, much more rural this. But yeah, the third day, you turn completely inland, and heading up into the Andes, and you're eventually sort of going up these winding mountain roads in the trucks. You have a couple of scary moments of sort of stalls when you're going uphill, that kind of thing. And in fact, you suddenly kind of all come to the realization that you're now pretty high up. So can you all make me Constitution saving? No, not saving throws. This isn't D&D. Constitution rolls, please.
That's fun. Constitution, my worst stat.
It's also my
Fail,
worst stat, but
please.
I do pass.
I also pass.
It's my best stat, but I fail.
I rolled a 99.
Oh no!
Is that very,
You're,
very
you're
bad?
dead. You're
Should I push it?
That does sound
Can
like
I
you might
push
be
it?
dead.
I'm gonna say you can't push this.
Okay.
It's
I'm
fine.
Gonna,
Don't worry.
I'm going to be
Don't
horizontal
worry.
for a bit.
Okay.
I
uh,
succeeded 30 under 55. So
And Inga, I missed yours. Did you
Fail.
Okay, so Jack, so Ted, Corporal Shane, and Merritt, you are all suffering with altitude sickness. So go on, Justin.
I'm just saying, I've got my pocket knife if you need a first aid roll.
You stay away
Yes,
from
please.
me.
Know how to
That's the
solve
doctor.
altitude sickness?
yeah, so
More holes in the
you
chest. Let's the air in.
Corporal Shane and Ted are sitting in the back with the others, right? Yeah. Edwin and Mr. Farwell, you notice that those two kind of start to look a little peaky, and are maybe breathing a little heavily. Like you can feel that the air is thinner here, but you can see that it's affecting them. None of you are aware of this, but Merritt Barton is really struggling in the front seat of this other truck. And in fact, what I'll do is roll to see which order you're in. Oh, okay. Barton's truck is at the front of the queue, so anybody looking forward sees him lean out of the window and throw up out of the window.
Oh, I'll definitely see that then. I'm in the seat on the front, aren't I? I might bang on the back window to try and get the attention of someone, and then try and get Corporal Shane's attention, assuming you didn't notice it, and then point out to you, Corporal Shane. I think Mr. Barton just threw up out the window. Should we stop? Think he's okay?
There's not really much else that you can do other than stop to acclimatize a bit.
Actually, Inga, make me a medicine roll, please. I'm going to see whether you have this knowledge.
I rolled a 7.
She's got first
Okay.
knowledge for
Big
altitude,
success.
surely.
There's not much you can do apart from this one thing.
Yeah.
You would remember upon saying that, because it's not super medical, but you also know that it's not really like fake medicine. But if you chew coca leaves, or make a tea with coca leaves, that can help with altitude sickness. So there's nothing that you can do right now about it. I'm assuming that you wouldn't have packed coca leaves. Maybe you would. I don't know, actually.
I mean,
Maybe.
I did a bit of reading about like some of the local I did get a bit about some of the local like botanical kind of stuff, but yeah, I mean, I'm honestly I'm not sure I would have like specifically packed for coca.
But it's something that you think that you may be able to get in Puno when you arrive. So perhaps this won't be a long, maybe you can try and help everybody get over this a little bit before they might have otherwise acclimatized.
Yeah, I mean, like also going more slowly is a thing, right? Like, with this stuff in lieu of any actual medicine, like all you can really do is not ascend as quickly. So,
but also you've got 200 miles to go, so you've got to keep driving. And in fact,
and I'm not feeling so good myself either. So,
Larkin says something almost to that effect, but because he can see that you're suffering, and he says, "Oh, I'm very sorry to see that some of you are struggling, but we must press on. So perhaps there is, perhaps we can try and get hold of some of that as you recommend, Corporal Shane, when we arrive.
We're not
or
really
if we pass through somewhere else on the way.
Yeah, it's fine. We're not really in any medical danger. It's just extremely unpleasant.
Cool. You carry on, and late afternoon, sort of evening meal time, you arrive in Puno. So you drive through a bunch of fields on the way. Things like maize and potatoes that you can see growing there. And you can also see some fields with large herds of, not sure whether they're alpacas or llamas or maybe some of both, being herded around there as well. And you also see, anytime that you pass sort of nearby a local, they are kind of looking at you interestedly. Maybe there aren't that many tourists that come to Puno. Go on, Justin.
When we've been driving this way, have we been stopping? Have we been camping? Have we been staying in villages? Have we been sleeping in the truck?
Yeah, a couple of the two nights you got lucky, and the timings worked out that you were passing through towns at the time, so you had somewhere to stay. Yeah. And
has Larkin behaved not suspiciously during this time?
He's basically just, when you've arrived, it's been like, eat a meal, go to bed, get up in the morning and go again kind of situation.
Well, we'll presume we've had some sort of time for, assuming he wants to, for Farwell to have shared what Larkin had said about Mendoza.
Yeah.
Because if so, like, Shane will definitely be like, well, this seems like pretty positive news. I mean, the victim of an assault at the university named Mendoza. It's highly likely that the police took him into custody or something, and Larkin didn't defend the man. I think this seems quite promising for Mr. Larkin's character and the future of the expedition. I think try not to worry.
So if I'm around for this conversation, I would probably add that mention of overzealous. It worries me slightly. Perhaps could it be that Larkin meant that Mendoza was overzealous when he attacked the professor? And
well, yes, quite possibly. And if that's what's I don't know if he's been taken into police custody or something, but if he has, then.
But if Larkin is describing him as overzealous, then that meant the attack was planned and that Larkin knew about it.
Not necessarily the attack. You might have said scare him off or stop him sniffing around my expedition or something like that. You know, it could have been something really quite innocuous. Telling him to back off is not the same as stabbing a man or whatever. And that would certainly track with being overzealous rather than actually following instruction. Again, I think we shouldn't jump to conclusions too much.
I just worry about
Careful
Larkin
ourselves.
I just worry about Larkin and the list of tasks that he gave.
I also feel that there's no reason particularly to trust Larkin at this point, given he's clearly still lying to us about what he knows.
No, of course, I don't think we should be too trusting or whatever. But I also think it'd be silly to assume if he defended Mendoza, would we be saying, well, that's suspicious? If he says that he disagrees with it, we're saying that's suspicious. Like, what can the poor man possibly do? Like, let's take things in a measured way.
Does Mr. Hughes have anything to say on the topic?
He says, well, as you know, I had my my suspicions raised about Mr. Luis de Mendoza before I ever met him, but Larkin's name never came up, so maybe he did just make a mistake. It's difficult to say. We should still, I think, be suspicious, but perhaps not overly aggressively so.
To play devil's advocate and be overly suspicious, I suppose, the alternative could be that de Mendoza and Larkin figured out that we were onto them in some way, and to avoid suspicion, de Mendoza stayed behind. Presumably his presence was not required, and Larkin thought that it might make us all a little more trusting if he wasn't here.
If we work up our nerves in this sort of manner, we'll be of no use to anybody, and we'll be of no use even defending ourselves. If we get overly hysterical about every possibility and every danger that's out there, I think we ought to, as I say, be measured in our approach, be sensible. That means being cautious and to a level suspicious, but without it affecting our judgment.
Did you just call my wife hysterical?
I think there's a lot of hysteria in this group.
Hold me back.
Can I, because I was chatting to my driver, can I have a roll to see if we said anything of significance or if we got on before I started throwing up out the window?
Sure. Give me a language roll. Spanish.
Yeah.
Please.
Ooh,
and then
hard success.
Great. And then give me a charm roll as well, let's say.
Ooh.
And I'll do, I think it is a home roll, but I'll do you can have easy because you did so well on the language one. So like up to double.
Okay. I am not a charming man. Yeah, no. 66 over 30.
I love to imagine this is when the vomit arrived, you see.
I've been working myself up to say hi for the past 3 days. And then go, oh.
Okay,
That's
so
canon now.
You have some relatively pleasant conversation. You don't necessarily think that if, let's say that he is also going to be spending the night in Puno when you arrive, you don't think he'll be inviting you out for drinks. He would probably go with the other drivers. So there's you can chat fine, but you don't feel like he's particularly warm to you in any way.
That's fine.
And yeah, if you're asking him any questions, basically the job is to drive you to Puno and then drive back. There's no he doesn't know any more about anything else. He's literally been hired for this job and that's it.
From Lima.
Yes.
Okay.
Personally, I think it's more awkward if you have basically realise that this guy doesn't really like you, and you try and make conversation for 3 days, and at the end of that, after knowing this person isn't really interested in you, you then start vomiting everywhere. That's, I think, worse.
Look, at least I had the decency to vomit outside the truck, and he's not having to drive back the interior in 3 days.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Are you happy to now be arriving in Puno? Cool. Yeah, so if anybody has looked up about Puno before you arrive there, which you may well have done a little, anybody, I don't know. It's a small city, about 20,000 residents. You know, obviously, that it's on the shores of Lake Titicaca. And as you arrive sort of past the areas of farmland and into the city proper, you get the feeling that this is a bit of a combination between Catholicism and the sort of pre-existing Incan and beliefs. So there's a large cathedral that sort of dominates the city square. But there are also, there's a small group doing kind of like a folk dance as well, and people watching on. So it's this kind of collision of two separate things here. And the trucks pull up to a stop just off this square. Again, there are people kind of looking at you, almost like shifty-eyed a little. You don't see anybody else who looks European as you are passing through the city. So you are drawing quite a lot of attention. Not like stopping and staring, but kind of like watching you as they pass kind of thing. And Larkin says, "Excellent arrival, the end of phase 1," and kind of gets his bag on his shoulder and jumps down quite sprightly from the back of the truck. The driver to Merrick kind of turns and nods and gets out the car, out of the cabin, and heads to the back and starts kind of chucking bags down onto the floor.
I think I will maybe immediately go to Mr. Button, given I was maybe the only one to see throwing up, which might have been, within the last 6 hours anyway, the journey, maybe all the way up, I don't know. I'll go and just kind of help you out the door and check you're okay.
Thank you.
I guess I'm going to lie down if possible and see if we can send some. I'm not sure I'm particularly up for hitting the pharmacies or whatever equivalent there is, but see if we can send someone out for some relief or something that we might be able to get here, or tea or
I'll be like standing letting you have some water and stuff.
Jackson offers to go. He, I think, mentioned to you that he has been here before, so he kind of knows the area a little bit, and then says, in fact, could it? He kind of looks to see how far away. You think he's looking to see how far away Larkin is, and then says, "Could it wait perhaps until Mr. Larkin has checked us into the hotel, and I could take you to meet a friend?"
Yes, that's it. I don't think anyone's in any immediate danger, just extreme discomfort. So that's fine, yes.
I did want to have a chat with some local people here if we could do.
You may recall, Mrs. Farwell, that I mentioned a friend here who may be of interest to you. It is her that I'm suggesting that we all go visit.
I will glance again to see if Mr. Larkin is.
He's like helping to pull bags down. He looks very excited to be kind of here and cracking on.
I'll wander over to in his direction and say, Mr. Larkin, a few of my companions are feeling the sickness from the hills a bit. We were going to follow. Oh gosh, Mr. Hughes was the right way around? Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes was going to take us all to the pharmacy. We should be back soon.
Yes. Of course, the drivers will, and I will check into the rooms and have your bags sent up.
Cool. I will head back over to the group and just say,
I hope you all feel better.
Thank you. I'm already walking away and waving at him. I'll come to the rest of the group and say, we're going to the pharmacy, as far as he knows.
Good work, Mrs. Farwell.
Mrs. Farwell, do I look decent enough to be making new acquaintances?
Does Mr. Martin not have, vomit on him?
He doesn't have any on him.
He is looking quite a bit more dishevelled than he usually is.
Some of us may be able to push on, but you may find it beneficial to just lie down to not aggravate things.
I will offer
you know, is one of the major cultural centres of the Quechan language.
a swig from the hip flask I will offer him.
Besides, it's rural
that
here.
won't help.
No, I'm afraid I must refuse. I drink for scientific curiosity only.
Wilfred,
So
come offer
this
this poor man your shoulder.
Of course, I say, stepping up to Mr. Barton. It will all be all right soon, I'm sure. I have heard stories that it just takes a few days to get accustomed to it.
Thank you, Mr. Farwell.
Jackson sort of leads you in a direction, and to Merritt's at the very least great distaste, you realise that you are going further uphill. And you kind of leave like the main city streets and are ascending this path up the side of one of the hills outside of town. And you can see this small house approaching. And on the way, Jackson is, telling you. There is a woman, Naira. She is, they call her a Yatiri, which is a wise woman or healer who I met here. She's very kind and will hopefully be able to assist you with how you are feeling. And you head up, and it's on the way to getting dark now, but it's not dark yet. And you get there, and the door is slightly ajar. And Jackson walks up to the door and pushes it open, and you can see that everything inside is in quite a state of disarray. And things, strewn everywhere inside, and nobody to be seen. And we'll leave it there.
No likey.
Winifred doesn't like anything. Nothing that happens she likes. Everything's a bad omen.
I mean,
Professor Trelawney of this group.
That was just.
I mean, she's not
Sam.
wrong.
I was just Sam reacting to the fact we're playing Cthulhu. I'm sorry, Inga.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. Any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. Simbarim will be back on Wednesdays soon, and the Yellow King will be back on Thursdays soon. Please join our Discord, which is linked below the video, for updates on exactly when that will be. There are also links there to our social media and our Twitch and YouTube, depending on which one you're watching on, and also our Patreon, where you can support us if you enjoy what we do. We will be back next Monday for more of this. I think that's all of the things. But yes, thanks everybody. That was fun. Yeah. Good.
We finally moved along with the plot.
We had 5-6 sessions of like a day and a half, and suddenly we've had like 3 days of travel. Go.
Yeah, we can
Incredible.
sit on this evening for like another 3 or 4 weeks. And
Oh yeah. Totally.
We tried to push it further back. You know, we invited Larkin to dinner, but
He wasn't having
he just,
wasn't having any of
just
it.
kept changing the subject before he could exposition at us.
Genuinely really funny to me, like different people's reactions to that. 'Cause, like, again, like in hindsight to me, I'm like, okay, he found out some bad information. He doesn't want to talk. It's a touchy subject for him that he had a misjudgment of character. Maybe fair enough. He doesn't really want to talk about that. It's not a good dinner conversation. Everyone else is like, this is even more suspicious now.
Doesn't even want to talk about the fact there's a character in history named the same as him. It's not like we're saying talk about Louis de Mendoza, the guy who's with us. We're saying let's talk about this ancient character in history. And he goes, let's not talk about that guy.
Like,
we'll go, okay, well, so you'll definitely think that he is the same person.
But we were all like, oh, it's a shame he's not here to talk about this. Like it was all still like really like around him. Like I don't know. I mean, obviously, like there's a kind of meta like story thing, like everything's kind of suspicious. But I think it's really funny. Like, I think it's funny as well. Like Price, like being kind of the lawyer and quite sort of straight laced kind of guy, like but also being like really quite nervy with everything that's come across. And
fun,
it's been kind of interesting to sort of see how different people have sort of react. And like the photojournalist, like being like weirdly one of like the most kind of skeptical of the group and stuff, and it's been fun.
Like it's got to be credible for him to write a story about it. So definitely in the Peruvian jungle, that's a story, I guess. But when you start going into the fantastical, it's obviously vampires. He's obviously 500 years old. Yeah.
You just gotta branch out and start writing, novels or. Use a pseudonym for some, weird publication that specializes in this sort of.
I mean, out of character, I feel like we've had a lot of evidence at this point. It's not like
I'm still not like totally convinced about that.
Like,
I mean, like again, like there's
surely.
In the scheme of a Call of Cthulhu game, yes, but like in the kind of if you're a character in a real world, like again, I guess like Martin Shane's like, there's like fat sucking vampires. Like, well, there's the heroin user. You use a lot of heroin. You don't eat, you lose a lot of weight. If that doesn't seem so fantastical. Yeah.
If you're actually in this world in the 1920s, I wouldn't be saying it's definitely a fat sucking vampire. My character is because of who she is, but I wouldn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
Because we know it's a Call of Cthulhu campaign.
Yeah, exactly. From a Cthulhu meta plot perspective, I'm just like, I'm genuinely shocked how much hard evidence there is that this guy is a vampire already in this story.
I think it's the fact that no one's done a sanity roll yet.
Have we not had one?
Oh,
when that body was first found, did we not have any?
Oh no, there was a I did lose some
I've got like 2 gone.
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
But there's been one sanity roll then.
I mean, seeing a desiccated corpse where you're expecting to see a researcher who'd just been down there moments ago, it's it's not great. It's not.
That's fair enough for a sanity roll. Yeah,
I employed tactical femininity to avoid going to see it. You see,
crafty.
Anything good in the?
Is Shane going to keep calling my wife hysterical? If this becomes
I want you to.
That was definitely not just Winifred. That was like most of the group here. All everywhere. Whichever way you look, it's just a massive nerves.
Oh,
I would have loved
hysterical.
You to push that further. That would have been great. Like for Wilfred to just be like, I've totally read that as a direct attack on me rather.
I mean, like I'm pretty sure I don't like this Shane guy. He thinks he knows all his medicine. He thinks he's better than stabbing people with knives.
Showing off.
I'm not better than stabbing people with knives. I just do it with more precision.
Anything good in the chat, John?
Let's start with a shout out to 4242, who got there before Corporal Shane did.
Nice.
Nice.
Well done. Very good. I didn't know that in real life.
I'm immediately suspicious of 4242. Gotta keep an eye on that.
Steve, the extra information on the map. All the characters die here. Yeah.
We also have this from 4242.
Can't make a scene in a restaurant, better to confront the possible monster in the privacy of the jungle. Yes, very accurate. Yeah.
How the British deal with monsters.
Jack, famously, you can never have too many opiates.
It's never been bad
Yep.
for anyone.
No.
And I
Oh,
posted
yeah,
this one.
I was going to say as
Go
well,
ahead.
actually, on the opiates thing, though, like, I should have asked, like, how Larkin is looking over the course of 3 days without
Oh yeah.
who I assumed
looks
was his supplier.
Strangely replenished, vitalized.
So
Like,
that- there are like 12 to 14 hours a day where you're not seeing him, but when he's with you, he seems okay.
Okay.
he's got his own supply. Got it.
That's just one of the trucks is just for his supply.
And then I had this about Mr. Farwell's gold bar tactic.
Yes. D&D cleric logic, yeah. Was that
Keep
before or
hitting
after I accidentally asked you to make a Constitution saving throw?
I think that was before.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that is everything. Oh god,
Great.
one of my tabs has disappeared, but I think that is everything.
Yes, I think that's everything. Cool. So we'll be back next week for another one of these. And grab the Discord for information on when Simbaroom and the Yellow King are starting back up again. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to the players, and catch you next week. Cheers, everybody.